Okay, welcome everyone to another relationship advice for women podcast where we have a brand new segment. At this point, it's not that new, but it's called The Other Woman. And Miss Kristen Williams is our special guest tonight. And she'll be giving us some details on her love story. And it is a love story. So we're exploring the initial relationship dynamics. And the first questions we have is, can you walk us through how your relationship began? And then what was it about him that made you feel it was worth pursuing, even though he was legally separated at the time?
Okay, so the first question is I met him when I was working at Family Dollar. So
Okay.
this was like before Build a Brand or whatever. This was 11 years ago.
Okay.
I was working at Family Dollar and he was in the military and Family Dollar was located behind the base or I guess on the side street. So he would just always come in and just talk and he just always was tired from work and whatnot. So I was always just kind. At that time, there was not any interest in pursuing each other. I was the cashier.
Mhm.
Oh, girl, that just went serious.
Oh, that just goes back and forth.
And so we was just always just been friendly with each other on a professional type of level. But one day I was just out. When you friends, you have a consistent customer, you get to know their business a little bit. So he will open up a little bit more. A lot of people trust their cashiers, their local cashiers. But I was outside on a cigarette smoke break. And one day he just pulled up and like his car was like full of boxes. I think at the time he had like a Toyota and it was just boxed out. And I made a joke because I was smoking my cigarette. And I'm like, I don't even know how you got in that thing. Like, what's up with the boxes? Are
Mhm.
you moved into a different city? Because we lived in Marietta.
Okay.
So he was like, well, I'm moving to the base. He never lived on the base, which was my perception. He was saying that he had filed divorce from his wife and that he's moving onto the base for living quarters. And I was like, oh, and he was like, whenever I come travel back and forth, that's me bringing my stuff from Clayton County,
Mhm.
Georgia to Cobb County. So I
Mhm.
was like, oh, okay. Now that makes sense why you always coming in getting water. Like I'm still making jokes.
Okay.
And
Uh-huh.
so it turned into like a friendship. He would come up there whenever he was frustrated and we'd just smoke a cigarette together. And then we just kind of became break buddies. Whenever I'm on break, I'm like, hey, I'm going on break. You want to, and then we just developed a friendship from there. Our initial conversation, what drew me to him was what made me feel like he was worth pursuing was he was in the line one day and I was talking to a customer and she was talking about her son going off to college and she was worried that her son would have anxiety, because they've always been together. And he's a mama's boy. And my husband, well then he's a mama's boy. So he was giving her some really great advice. And
Mhm.
listening so hard, I had rung up the lady stuff with his stuff. And he was like, "Don't worry about it." He was like, "I take care of it." But the things that he was saying about being loving and nurturing, the right type of man her son is going to grow to be, being on his own in college. I was like, wow, like I've never heard
Right.
a young man like talk like that. And he was just like, if he's a mama's boy like me, you raised him right to go on and do these things. And I'm like, that drew me. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I really want to get to know this guy because he sounds like really good qualities. Like I got to know more about him. I have to know why he's going through this situation he's in.
Right. So why
So,
why did he get it? Why was he going through divorce?
Because when he got into a relationship, he had like he joined the military,
Hmm.
and the military kind of imposed marriage on them.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
kind of like relationship. Like you with this girl, she, y'all been together for a little minute. So, marriage is part of the military is very strict on goals, stuff back then.
Hmm.
However, they end up getting married, and she was a housewife. He was like, I used to take care of the two kids. I'll go, to the military, whatever, and I'll bring home the bag. But
Hmm.
he like she had got comfortable with not cleaning, and then he come home long day at work, dinner's not cooked, house is a mess. He was like, and they stayed in the apartment, and when you in the military, they teach you cleaning, they install certain things in you, and he was like trying to teach that to her, but with her being so young, she wasn't understanding exactly what the role of a housewife is. It's
Hmm.
just let me lay around and I cook when I want to. I'll do laundry if I feel like it. I'm on vacation type of thing.
Was the children, were they at home with her? They were at
Yeah,
home
they
with her?
went to school too. I think they were in daycare because when I met, all of our children was in daycare. So I believe they was in daycare at the time.
Okay, but when he came home, like when it first started, were they in daycare? Like when she first had the children, like did they? Because some people immediately go to daycare, or some of them stay at home.
Um, I think they went to daycare. I think she was working for a little while, but I think financially he just thought that like I guess if she's home, they could stay home or however they worked it out. I'm not too keen
Okay, I
on
got
a
you.
behind the scenes deep
Okay,
situation.
okay, I got
But
you.
I do know she was a housewife. That part
Okay.
I do know from both sides. And he said that she was just really a really nasty woman, and he didn't know what kind of person she was until they married. And that's in a lot of situations where you don't know how a person really is until you move in together, until y'all get married. You're like, well, hold on, I didn't know you had, these type of qualities.
That's right.
But he was like with them having, two small babies. He was the kind of man that was like, okay, I'm gonna stick in it. I'm gonna try to work it out. We got these children. We need to figure this marriage thing out. But he said the last straw for him was when he was on the military and he was outside talking to his commander. And he said that she pulled up. He said he took the car to go get washed the night before. So she dropped him off at the base, and then she was coming to pick him up, and he said that he was outside talking to his commander, and that the car was trashed out from front to end, pizza boxes, diapers, like it was just nasty. And his commander looked in, leaned into the vehicle to say, hey, and he like recommended him about that. Like, Thomas, we treat you, we teach y'all better values like cleaning habits and whatnot. He said he was so embarrassed and there was no excuse for it. And he was like, so at that point, he just felt like being embarrassed that hard in front of his military people, he felt like there's no changing this.
Really? So he
Yeah.
think he didn't think that, like how he was able to learn a certain way. He thought she was not incapable of learning.
I don't think he thought she was incapable of learning. I think she wasn't willing to learn.
Okay.
I don't think she was willing to try. I think she was just really comfortable, like, really comfortable, with
Mhm.
just feeling like he's not gonna go nowhere because I have the kids. I'm married to him, leaving trash on the floor. He'll say laundry will go undone for 3 or 4 days. She just really got real comfortable in not a good way.
And that was his reason for divorcing her?
Yeah, he said it was just bad. His friends would come over and he would have to like kick the trash. It'll be trash bags from like when they're in the military, they work like sometimes 9 to 12 hours. And he would come home and there would be like 3 or 4 bags of trash just piled up in the kitchen when there's a trash can outside.
Oh wow. So
And
I'm
then,
gonna try to move this along because I don't want to, put her out there too much. But what are
yeah,
his, as far as marriage, what are y'all vows like now? Because I definitely understand infidelity, but if somebody
I
maybe
mean, there was some of that too. I think he suspected that, which is why he
okay,
believed that a lot of the stuff she was doing, being lazy and whatnot, had a lot to do with entertaining another man.
but it was never proven.
It was.
It was okay. So that because I'm like that, so it had to be something else on top of that. So it
Yeah,
wasn't
it was that. Like he was already thinking this is not gonna work, especially with the embarrassment. But then it came out that she did have a male friend when he was at work, and that's why the house was always in disarray.
okay. So it was a male friend or somebody she was actually dating.
Someone she was actually, I believe, dating. He never really spoke too much on that, but I know there was a male present in that
Okay.
situation.
Okay. And we can move on from that part. But how did the legal separation impact your view of relationship? And then did you see it as a temporary hurdle, or was it something that caused you concern from the start? Like,
It didn't impact my view on relationships because he did it the right way. I never been married before. Like this is my first marriage. It
mhm,
just made me view relationships from somebody that was going through all the wrong people,
mhm,
dating wise. When I saw how he did it, I felt like that's actually the right way to do it. It's respectful. Like,
mhm,
hey, I found legal separation. This is what I'm gonna do to help take you, to get you taken care of and get you where you need to be so you can
yeah,
learn how to depend without me. He did it the right way. So it made me feel like there really is good men out there
yeah.
that can separate a situation and do it the right way.
Hmm. That makes sense. And so, were there moments when you doubted the legitimacy of your relationship because of his marital status, even though he was
Yeah.
separated? And can you kind of like touch on that a little bit?
I mean, because it took so long for the divorce to go through. I mean, we were like 8 years in, or maybe like 4 to 5 years in when the divorce became final. So it made me
Really?
feel like, yeah, it made me feel like, okay, is you playing games with me? Is this stuff really going on?
Hmm.
Like, are you playing two households?
Uh
It
huh.
did make me question, are we in a real relationship?
Right. And then what was his answers for that? Like what made it?
Um, I told him that I need to see that things are moving along for us to be able to continue on a relationship because by this time we're living together. And
Hmm.
so he was just saying he showed me where she's like giving false addresses from different counties to the magistrate court. So they're like trying to get her served, but these addresses is holding up because they can't serve her because there's no one there. So
So she
it's just
didn't want to get divorced. She didn't want to get divorced.
no.
Oh.
She didn't want the divorce at all. So she was like fighting, getting served, fighting the divorce proceeding.
And so
So
did you know that she was fighting that whole time?
I had a feeling, but I wasn't sure. I was just because I had never had a conversation with her.
Hmm.
I felt like my dealings with him. You need to explain to me what am I feeling, and so I felt like maybe it was both sides. But
Hmm.
then when I was ready to like leave,
Hmm.
then he was like, "Okay, look, here's everything. This is the text messages. This is the court proceedings. These are my documents. I'm trying."
Hmm.
And it leads right back up to where he's trying to protect me, really, because in the messages, it's if you don't leave Chris, you'll never see your kids again. If you divorce me, you'll never see Chris again. If you don't move her out the house, I'm not signing the divorce papers. It became that type of situation.
Oh.
He was trying to protect me from that
Yeah.
by telling me. And
Yeah.
then I say about like her being lazy, I mean, like instance, I'm a housewife. I mean, I'm a business owner. I have places of businesses in Decatur, but I'm mostly a housewife. So when I'm home, I know about 5 o'clock, my kids home, dinner is cooked. I know trash taken out. Clothes is done before my baby get out of school. My husband get off work at 6 o'clock. Okay, I'm gonna make sure if he's not home in time, his dinner's in the microwave. That's housewife duty. He's saying none of that was going on.
Is that what he stated? Because I'm just saying the way it is described, it sounds like it's kind of because of what you know from the previous one, it kind of put some pressure there for you. Or were you like this before you met him? Or did you say, okay, this is how he wants me to be, so I got to do this because I see this was a real problem?
It wasn't what he wanted me, how he wanted me to be. I just, as any other mother or wife, I just felt like, okay, if I'm not working, and my husband is pulling in, he's out there grinding, hustling on somebody's job, he's gonna be hungry when he gets home from work. So let's make sure there's a meal for him. The kids ate. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. Let's make sure the trash is taken now. How you gonna throw your trash away if it's already piled to capacity? It was just me. It was how I was. But I've met her before. I've talked to her on the phone. We've never met in person. It was a little ugly. So I talked to her on the phone. And just by talking to her, I wanted there to be some understanding because there's a sibling involved now. Their kids and my baby are related. So I wanted to have an understanding, but she have it in her mind that I stole her husband. Yeah. And that's the story that she's running with for 11 years now. And so there's no conversation.
Oh, wow. How long have you been married?
We've been married for 2 years, but we've been together for 11.
Wow. So you've been together for 11 years. And how long were you together for 11 years? And okay, so when you got together, it took him 4 years before he got divorced?
Pretty much.
Okay, so after that, it took y'all 9 years, not 9 years. It took y'all 7 years to get married, 5 years to get married.
Yeah, because it kind of scared me. I'm not gonna lie. I've never been in a divorce situation again. I have 2 kids out of wedlock. I've never been married to no one, so I don't know what that's like. And my parents, is not married. So again, I don't come from a marriage background. I just knew I always wanted to have a husband and a family like any other woman does. But it scared me because I'm like, this is a lot.
Yeah. It sounds like pressure. The way that you are operating, it sounds like pressure, and I can relate to that because my husband said this is what happened in my last marriage, so please don't. But that's not even an issue in our marriage now. But the thing is, what are the vows? What are the vows? And I just want to know that because I know my husband has grown from his last marriage.
Yeah.
And so I definitely understand infidelity. But if you're going through, because me, I have 3 children. I was raised always cleaning. I didn't know how it was going to be as far as getting, married with children. And so my dynamics have changed and my children are different. Like all 3 of them are different. And I know, and I'm just talking about me. I ain't trying to take up for nobody or nothing. But I just know I have experienced my children tearing everything out of the drawers, everything, knocking all the books on the floor. And if I'm at home and that's happening every day, then I can mentally get drained. I can mentally get into some type of depression. And I just know that some women do get through that as well, but some are more just gifted in the area of loving to clean. And I just wanted to know, have you ever kind of just felt stressed out? I know that, I'm feeling depressed right now, but I know I got to clean because I don't want the same thing that happened last time in his previous marriage.
No, because I have days that I don't clean. I mean, I'm perfect. I'm not perfect.
Okay.
I don't cook dinner, and they know it. And look, today is what? Today Thursday, and I'm about to get my drink on, and mama is off duty. The thing is this. This is the thing.
Okay.
This is the thing. Like my husband tell me, do you. You want to go to Carrie? Do you. Just put a hot meal on the table. That's it. That's all he asked for. A hot meal in a clean house. That's it. And quality time. That's what any man would ask for when they're married. But the pressure wasn't from what they had going on, because I'm sure it's so much more to their story.
Mm-hmm.
I could never get it from her because it was always, I'm gonna beat your ass. It was always negative, and we could never get to that.
Okay, I said bleed because I tried not to do no profanity. What you say?
Days where I'm not cleaning, he wants me to be myself all the time. He just take care of home. That's it. Like I tell my girls, it's by standards. If y'all gonna go out and hang out with your friends for the weekend, make sure your chores done. That's all it is. But our house is good. We don't have any cheating and no infidelity. There's a lot of things with me that he felt like he hasn't done in his previous marriage. Like we've been on vacation, we done been on cruises, these are things he felt like he could never get a chance to do, and he's doing it. So he's happier, and our marriage has outlasted their marriage. So I think that's just what it is. And for us, I did feel like, a side chick, like, hey, you're going to, because we were playing that role for a second, like during the divorce proceedings. She did tell him that if you don't come back home, then I'm going to move to a different state with your children. And with him not doing better, he did go back home. And he just packed up all my little stuff I had in his room and dropped it off and changed his number. And I was like, well, screw you too. Okay. But then a couple of days later, he was like, for some reason, I'm back home trying to work it out. He was like, but I just feel a lot happier when I'm around you, and I need to come back.
And you said that your marriage has outlasted his marriage with his ex-wife?
Our whole relationship had. They were together for 7 years before he filed for divorce.
Okay, I got you. Look, remember I said sometimes we're gonna expound.
I'm okay.
Okay. Okay. I think we kind of touched on this, but if we didn't, what were the conversations like between you two about his legal separation? And I think you talked about this a little bit more, but if you feel like you want to expand a little bit more, did you feel secure in knowing that he was moving toward divorce? Or were there moments of uncertainty? I think you did touch on that, but if you want to say anything else.
I was happy knowing that he was moving to divorce, because that means you're serious. Most men, they still live with their wives and they say, I'm getting a divorce. Meanwhile, they still messing around at night, But he had moved out to a whole different county, which was like, okay, this man is serious, and he actually showed me paperwork where he filed, and he's telling her, hey, please just sign the papers. I don't want no trouble. So he was trying.
I don't want no trouble. Please. Look, I get you. Please leave me in. Please break me free. Okay, so we moving topics a little bit.
You had another question below there that I didn't answer. I keep trying to catch it.
What do you know what it was about? Let me see. I know I asked you about how did you navigate your feelings. Did you work? You know what? To be honest, sometimes I feel like if you did answer it, you answered them. If you did answer it without me putting it up there, sometimes I just go ahead and move to the next one.
I felt like when I navigate my feelings, it was a lot of pressure because my mother knew about his situation, because his wife called my mother to make sure she knew that he was married. And it was a lot of pressure because my mother is religious. So it was like, the Bible. I'm like, Mama, what you talking about? Mama, what you talking about? But yeah, so, it was
you told her that she don't know what she's talking about.
I said, Mama, what you talking about? When she called me, I'm going to pray for you. I'm like, Mama, what you talking about? And she like, his wife called me.
Oh.
and she had already met him, but I never disclosed he was married. So that was like, ooh. But you know, it was the pressure of that.
Okay.
And then it was the pressure of my friends, like, Kristen, what are you doing? Like, you know, this the call instead of being a side chick. And I'm like, I ain't nobody side chick. Like, what you talking about? Like, it was a lot of pressure because I've never been in a situation like that before.
Yeah.
You know, again, I was with both my kids' father, but it didn't, you know, last long. But it was never nothing like
this. Yeah. And so what are your mother's beliefs? Like, or do y'all share the same beliefs?
Yeah, like I wouldn't want my girls to do something like that. Like, his mother was even shocked. She was shocked we was living together. It was my mother's belief is, you know, it's no, off limits. Wait till things become settled. Wait till things, you know, the judge give his ruling, all this other stuff. You know, any man, whether legally, you still married until a court says you are no longer married.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of pressure. But the things that he have done for me and my kids during that time to help us in a better place, get on my feet, just it was hard to let that go. And I knew he was a good man. And good men sometimes it's really hard to find.
Yeah. How old were you all when y'all met?
11 years ago. I'm 35. So 20 what? No.
24? 24?
Yeah. Okay. I told you I had a little drink.
No, you cool, good. Look, you funny.
Something like I was working, like, just for example, one of the reasons why I couldn't let go is I'm working at McDonald's. I'm working at Family Dollar, trying to make ends meet for my kids. And while all my friends and stuff like that is cool, coming home spending like cheeseburgers and hamburgers at 24 years old, like he was like, have you ever thought about working at a bank? Like, he went and brought me interview clothes and helped me apply for a bank job. And I'm like, I don't qualify. Like, I'm doubting myself. I don't qualify for that. They're not gonna want girls that look like me working, counting their money. And just encourage me. And the things he said, the prayer, like, I applied. And then when I got the job, I'm like,
wow. You felt he was a good leader.
A good leader, yes, he was. He still is. But at that moment, being so young and minded, I think that was the difference. I was willing to learn and see go walk through the new door of life he wanted to show me, versus just being stuck like, I'm good where I'm at. I'm okay doing this job and my kid, you know, I was like, no, show me different. If there's a better way of living, if there's a better life, lead me.
And how old is he? Like, how is he older than you? Oh, he's only a year older than you.
Yeah. And he's out the military now. He's retired. He's doing IT now.
Okay, so we're going to move into hesitation and public perception. So this question says, you mentioned being hesitant to share your story. So what are some of the fears or concerns that you hold back from fully opening up about this part of your life?
Judgment. Not everybody understands, you know, the situation. When I was telling people, like, oh, he's legally, you know, he was legally married, because the people try to do the math. Well, hold on, his kid's this age. Your kids, wait, what? Like, and then I'm trying to explain, it's judgment. And another reason why I was hesitant is because I'm a business owner. I have businesses in Decatur. And you know, when people they see you, they tend, and they don't believe in what you've done or the things you did, they tend to be hateful. And then they go and write reviews. And then they try to find ways to sabotage you or bash you online and gossip about you. And I just didn't want it to hurt, you know, the business. Yeah, because I also have business partners, which is also my husband as well. He's a partner with me. And so that's like, I didn't want to hurt anybody else by telling my story. I didn't want to be selfish, but I was like, you know, you was on my back.
I was like, hold up now. You can help somebody get through this. And I was like, you know, I wonder how many, and this is not to, I'm not trying to justify being the other woman at all. But when it comes to business, I wonder how many, and we already know how many different people the Mark Zuckerberg done been with. We don't know, but how many different people the owner of Walmart done been with? How many different, all these different days. It didn't stop their business. And I'm just saying, if God blessed you with that business, regardless of what you've done, because we've all done something, He's the one who's going to bring the business regardless. So
exactly. But when you're a small business, those are all major companies. When you're a small business, it can't hurt you. When you just LLC and you're not a corporation, it can, because I've had that happen to where I have my eyelash business, which is my little logo in the back on the wall back there. I don't know which side going to the camera, but because of that, people, when they knew about our situation, we tried to share. People was writing reviews on Google about my brand, saying that they brought lashes from me that had cat hair in it. I don't even own a cat.
Girl, you can what do you call it? Because I just did it the other day when somebody wasn't even my customer. I reported it and got that thing pulled down.
Yeah, that was a few years ago, but I'm saying that is things that people tend to do. And so you tend to just keep your business. So I just tell people, we've been married for 11 years. I mean, we've been together that long. We've been married for 11 years. That's all you need to know.
So funny. Okay, so I don't know if you answered this one, but do you worry about how others will perceive your relationship now? Given that it started while he was legally married. And how have you dealt with those concerns?
So I would say, do I care now? No, because of how it's going versus how it started.
So why do you tell people you've been married for 11 years then?
Oh, that's what I was about to get to. Because then there are situations where, people get to talking and they make you feel like, what did you think about this woman? And what if it happened to you? And, it just makes you...
It's trying to make you insecure.
Yeah, then it'll make you feel like, oh, then how you get them is how they leave you. Or stuff like, I've been told that before, that, oh, how you got them is how you gonna lose them, or it's gonna be a matter of time. Even people that thought was my friend, just like on some like drinking stuff, or are they homegirl or whatever, and we just, not like I told I don't do friends. I say I don't do friends because when people come into your life and you try to open it up and you share stories like this, they get judgy, especially if they don't understand. So it can make you insecure. And the way I dealt with that is just reminding myself that I'm in a good place. I could have gotten with someone that was ugly, in person.
Right.
But I got with a spiritual, kind-hearted family man, and that's exactly what he is. And then when I look at that, I'm like, okay, but those concerns, I just leave them up to God. It's up to God to judge me, not the next person.
Right. And if I'm gonna tell you this, if you've ever felt bad about this and you've repented, God is not judging you for this. If you've apologized, He's not judging you for this, period. And He's not. So whatever. And so the next question is, it's kind of like you kind of touched on it, but if you see anything that you want to add to it, go ahead and say it. So now that you're married, do you feel a sense of shame or discomfort about how the relationship began? Like, do you feel like, oh, that was wrong? Like, or do you feel like shame? Like, okay, good.
And the reason why I say that is because what you missed out on was a blessing to me. How they say one person's trash is another person's treasure. And then when you see that the man is living well, the woman is living well, then I want them back. I got to do whatever it takes because I want to. No, I don't, because life is great. Like, it was a win for me. My story ended great.
Yes. Okay. So the next question: how do you balance your desire to protect your reputation, with the reality of your relationship history? And is there a conflict between the two? You understand that?
How do I balance my desire to protect your reputation with the reality? My reputation is, people don't know my personal. Like I keep personal and business separated.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows my husband is one of my business partners. I keep everything quiet. Because again, when you tend to mix that, then people look down on you. If I do events, I have built brand events. So if I feel like some of the older women that attend my events, if they knew my relationship background, then I felt like I would lose a lot of my customer base. So it is a huge desire to keep that protected by not putting my business out there,
So you still feel like your past follow you?
I don't feel like it's following me because we've been together for so long and we're really happy. I think when it follows me is if it comes to business. When I'm talking to a client and I'm like, oh yeah, and I met my husband, he was with another woman. And they ain't like, wait, hold on, I can't do business with you. Like, wait, I'm withdraw my funds back. That's when it becomes reserved because people are like that.
Yeah, they are. And when I was putting this together, I was like, even like thinking about what you said, like people are like that. But I'm like, if there are so many men who cheat, there are so many men who cheat, and not even just this separation thing. There's so many men who cheat, and I'm like, there has to be a lot of other women. You could have been the other woman and not even known. And then once you found out, you'll find yourself in that same situation. Now you're too emotionally in this, and you don't know how to get out. So the next one. Or go ahead.
I would say this, when it could be a situation to where the man gets up and he's like, I'm going home to my wife and my kids. I'm never leaving my wife and kids for you. Or you that's a different type of side chick situation.
Yeah.
But when you have a man that's saying, hey, work with me. I'm a good man. I know I'm young, but I got really great qualities. Just let me get through this situation. We can walk through this walk together. That's something different. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stand behind you to do your thing. That's a different type of side situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. And so do you think a part of it was because when you met him, you would consider yourself have been a single mom, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And would that have influenced your decision? Because I know a lot of women be like, well, damn, who gonna want me with these kids? Who else? I'm not sure if you thought like that, but that never went across your mind. That could have been why.
Because I was dating, like I was young, like I'm from New Orleans, and I was out here living my best life. I mean, I had 2 kids, I worked, I probably was struggling a little bit, but I was dating and I was young, and I knew eventually I would find the right man. My mother has 3 kids from 3 different guys, and she remarried and have from somebody who don't even have kids. So I knew that if that could happen, then I know with me having 2 kids, 2 small girls, I could find the right man. So I wasn't, that had nothing to do with it. Being a single mother, I never asked him to pay any bills for me. Anything he did was solely because he, got attached to my girls and wanted to see us happy. But I've never asked for anything. And it had nothing to do with me being a single mother.
Okay.
I was a single mother way before I met him.
Okay, I got you. And so you can let me know if we already answered this one. Is looking back, were there any moments when you felt conflicted or guilty about being with someone who was legally separated but not yet divorced? And then how did you? I think you answered it, right?
No.
Okay.
It was a time because, like, it had been a whole year since we seen each other kids. Like, we was, hooking up, we was going on dates and whatnot, but we had never met. Like, our kids had never met in person. So it was like when I got to meet his kids for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, the little girl, she was like, no, like, I want to go home. I want you to come home with mommy, because he was saying, I'm gonna drop y'all off home, pack up y'all stuff. And the little one, she was like, well, are you gonna stay with us and mommy? And like, when I heard that, I felt so guilty, because she just looked at me like I was the woman that just came and snatched their daddy out the house. And, kids don't understand, but I could tell that she didn't like me, and I knew that comment made it be known that she didn't like me. And I did feel guilty about that, because I'm like, well, if I stop talking to this man, maybe he will go home again, and he would, stay with the kids and the wife. And I did feel guilty about that in that moment.
And so, how did you reconcile those emotions?
When I talked to him, I just told him that you need to have this talk with the girls. Like, because it's not fair for me to feel like I'm doing something wrong and walk around with such a huge burden on my back and feel conflicted about what to do, because my kids like you. They've grown attached to you. I like your girls. One of them hate my guts. I'm like, no, this was in the beginning. Okay. But I just like, for us to reconcile this situation, you have to have a talk with them. With everybody, like with the girls, you have to let them know what's going on. Because they didn't know what was going on. They just knew mommy and daddy didn't live together, and daddy had a special friend that he shouldn't have.
Oh, wow. Okay. So did you ever feel pressure to keep your relationship a secret or downplay its significance because of his legal situation?
Now, no. Like, did I ever, like, back then? Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so the way you kind of explain it now, like y'all was having sex, and that could be why you was feeling guilty, because you knew his wife wanted him, his children was like, where you at? And y'all was still kind of like,
messing on, yeah.
Okay, well, how did that affect your relationship at that point? Did it cause y'all to argue?
Yeah, because I mean, like, I told you, he went back home, and when he gave me that phone call that he wanted to be with me, he would go, when he went to basic camp, he would like tell her, oh, I'm in camp, I'm training at this other military base, but he's at my home, and spending time with me and my kids. And I'm like, okay, now we're arguing, because it's like what is happening? What is the issue? Like, why are we doing this? Why are we hiding? Like, are you hiding me? Like, what is the problem? So yeah, and when I went around his family, it was always like a side eye, like, because it's the older aunties and grandmothers. They don't know what that stuff is. They don't know what that word is. I think back then they called them a clean up woman or something like that. So, old school. So they're giving me the side eye, and I'm like,
I got you. Next question is, how did you navigate the transition from being with someone who was legally separated to becoming a married couple? How did you navigate that transition? And then were there any surprises or challenges along the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a lot of people that didn't support our marriage. When he popped the question, a lot of people that was so-called friends of his, that was military buddies or whatever the case may be, friends of mine, that didn't come to our wedding, or hesitant about coming because of the situation itself. It was, she wouldn't even let her kids come to our wedding. And so my mom didn't want to come either, because she's religious. And he was legally married, and by this time he's completely divorced. But the fact that we were together during that time, is what had everybody in a frenzy. And she, of course, wasn't going to let her kids come to our wedding. And so we made the decision to just elope.
Okay. I got you. I got
So
you.
that's what we did.
And then this
If,
question is the final one about this. Now that you're married, do you reflect on your journey differently?
like, is there anything that I would have done differently?
Well, basically, the way that you were feeling then, right, about the whole situation that you were in, you were feeling it at that moment. But now that you look at it in hindsight, is there some thoughts? Well, it wasn't that, it was this. I think a little bit differently than I thought about that before. Now that you're married, do you reflect on your journey differently? Now that you're
Oh,
married.
let us hear.
Yeah, now that you're married, do you reflect on your journey differently?
I'm in the
Okay, you can go ahead and answer it.
now that we're married, I do reflect on our journey a little differently. I kind of wish I would have met him when he was already divorced. I think that would have kept a lot of drama that I had to face down. I got a lot of backlash, a lot of ugly things that happened because of this situation. So I do kind of, if I was to reflect on our journey, I would have waited until then. But I have no regrets about
Right,
it.
I got you. And so we're going to address the stigma about this. And do you think there's a stigma around dating someone who is legally separated but not yet divorced?
What you mean stigma?
Like the way people view it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like that there's a, for instance, I'm gonna give you an example. There's a stigma about people who have HIV. Nobody wants to
Mhm.
touch them. Nobody wants to touch them. So they feel like an outcast.
Oh, nowadays I don't think nobody care now. Like the times have changed. The
Mhm.
way the world is now, I don't think people care if people married, legally married. I
Mm.
living with somebody. I don't think the way that some women are now care at all. Um, they don't. So
But so you don't think there's a stigma around it? Like people are gonna look at that person, oh, that's the other woman, or that woman ain't good. She ain't no good.
no, because nowadays they embrace the side chicks. They make songs about it. They got TV shows about it. They got people writing books about it. So I think side chicks actually are getting high fives now for being hot for being side chicks. Versus 11 years ago when I'm kind of like not telling nobody, my friends is not talking to me. I'm like, I'm feeling boxed out. It's different nowadays. It's okay, like it's
Okay,
normal.
I hear that, but then what is the concerns about people knowing when it comes to business then, if it's normal?
Because again, when it's coming, when you don't have business, like
Mm-hmm.
if I was just a regular person and I didn't have business, I didn't have people that looked up to me,
Mm-hmm.
or see me as who I am, then I wouldn't care. I'd be all over the internet. Well, yeah, my man was this, and then when I met my husband, oh yeah, girl, I used to be, yeah, but people watching me, and I
Mm-hmm.
have I don't want to embarrass my girls. I don't want
Yeah.
business to be mixed with personal because
So what
it
business is
very
this? Is this the
similar.
lashes business?
No, I have other businesses such as event planner. I have storefronts, beauty
Okay.
supply stores that I own, and I just that people know I own, and I just don't. It can become a problem because I exposed that to one of my partners, for the beauty supply store, and because she's married and she didn't meet her husband is a high school sweetheart. So when
Mm-hmm.
I was explaining to her how me and Kendrick met and this whole story here, we started having problems. She started looking down on me, you
Oh.
know, yeah, because she don't know. what that's like because they've been together since high school.
Yeah.
So she's been with the same man. So it's like she was frowned upon for you to do this thing, and it was messing up business. And that's why I keep my personal separated from business. Because when you expose too much of yourself, you spread yourself thin, and people pick off of it.
I got you. And so this does kind of answer that question about how have you encountered judgment or criticism about, yeah, and it's from pretty much from your business relationships. It sounds
I
like
say, and customers, I mean people as well, personal and in business. So I say yes to that.
well, yeah, and I'm not laughing at you. It's just interesting. And so, how did you handle that situation, or when it happens? How do you handle them?
I just excuse myself as a silent partner. Like pretty much, I'll handle the paperwork in the inventory because I'm not gonna mess up my coins. So
Right.
it's like I'll be a silent partner. I ain't gotta be there with you. Just tell me what I need to do to keep the business running, and you
Uh-huh.
put it in the group chat, and I'll
Right.
respond. Because
Right.
now you're making comments in the store, you're doing this childish thing, having conversations with your friends about, side chicks, and I ain't got time for that. We digging
Yeah.
and knocking over mannequins, and I ain't got time. So I prefer. That's why I said I prefer to keep my business
Yeah.
personal, a
Right.
separate from my income or business wise. I don't want
Right.
to mix the two.
Yeah, and so that's why kind of why I asked you before, do you feel like your past follows you because you're not that person anymore. You're not in that situation anymore. You wouldn't do it again. You would have preferred to wait till he was fully divorced, but it seems like you're still being treated as if you are the other woman.
If I would feel that way if I had continued on to keep telling people my business.
Okay.
That's why I was kind of hesitant about doing this. If
Okay.
I continue telling people my business and I'm letting them throw salt on me, then that's letting my past follow me because I'm letting it follow me. I'm tugging it along. But because
Hmm.
I don't talk about it, and because I tell people, like I said earlier, we've been together, we married for 11 years. We've been together for 11 years. That's all you need to know. That don't even matter. The rest
Hmm.
is nobody else's business. And let's just move forward. With that is how I move. Is how I
I got
do.
you. I got you. And
Even
so
my
the
partner,
next question, I'm sorry, go
one of
ahead.
I'm sorry. Oh, so you like one of my partners now for my events. I tell her when she was like, "Oh, how you met?" Because I learned from the hair store situation.
Hmm.
I've been Oh, we met when I was working as a cashier. We've been married. We're gonna for 11 years. We can move on to business.
Okay.
You have to learn how to keep people out your business.
Yeah, I got you. And so the next question, what would you say to someone else who is in a similar situation, dating someone who's legally separated? And then what advice would you give them based on your experience? I know you wouldn't want your daughters to do this. I know you said for yourself you wouldn't do it like this again. So what would you tell somebody else differently than that?
Um, to wait because again, it wasn't all peaches. I
Hmm.
got I got hit up pretty hard, and my kids suffered a lot. Um, they took a lot of blows too, because of the situation. Um, so I would say I would wait till
Okay.
he's completely done and wrapped up because with them being legally married, she still has rights to certain things
Hmm.
and have certain say so that you may feel like is not fair.
Yeah. Hmm. That's important to know. And so now that you come through on the other side and are married, do you feel more confident? Do you feel more confident? I heard what you feel earlier, but do you feel more confident in sharing your story?
Yeah, I feel more confident. I mean, talking about it now, I felt like was like a huge, relief to be able to share my story than being scared about it. Um,
Yeah.
so I would say I do feel more confident about it, but on a personal level. If I'm trying to get to know you as a friend, but
Yeah.
business wise, I would still keep it separate. But I
Got
am more confident about it. So if
you.
someone was to bring up, well, didn't y'all meet when he was? I would be like, yes, 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 I did.
Yeah, right.
Shame.
I feel you. Okay, and so this is about reflections on moving forward. In hindsight, is there anything that you would have done differently other than, I know you said you would have waited. And then, so what lessons have you learned from this experience? So, other than I would wait, would you, like some people say, if he was separated, I wouldn't do that at all. Um, are there anything different? Anything
I
different?
think we being separated. I think because we had became so close.
Mhm.
I don't think we would have rushed in to move in so
Okay.
quickly. Because I think when that hit,
Mhm.
that opened up the floodgates of hell for things that transpired after. So
Mhm.
I would say that I would have also waited to move in as well. If I wanted to do something differently, it definitely would have been that.
Okay. And so, what lessons? I know we talked about many, many, many lessons. Um,
Mhm.
but what are some lessons that you've learned from this experience? Yeah, I would wait. Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't move in. But what are some things that I might instill in my children?
To trust yourself, to always trust your feelings. I tell my girls, it's always a lesson learned. I always go with that first feeling. That first feeling was like, slow it down. But I was just too head gone. But I would say that's a lesson that's learned. It's
Hmm.
just I gotta go back again to waiting
Yeah,
because you know the wives, they, no matter what they do to you, people are gonna always feel like they're right
mm,
because they're the wife.
yeah,
So, I would just again, the only
yeah,
lesson I have is just to completely wait till it's all done and stay so everything that happened after that can't come back to you with stigmas and names and whatnot attached to it.
yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. And so, how do you and your husband now talk? Like when y'all talk about it together, are y'all smiling? Like what? What does that look like?
When we
Or like
talk
you
about
said,
it,
you all prefer to leave it in the past.
no, we've talked about it. We've made jokes about it. I may say something like, "Well, don't act like because when I was your side chick, we've made jokes about it plenty of times." And he be like, don't say that, because that's not what you was." I was like, you was treating me better when I was your side chick. Like we always, we we always joke about it versus then reading too deep in it and going through the logistics of everything, because there was a lot of pain that
Yeah.
came with that pleasure. So I just I make a joke out of it. And he do too. Like
Hmm.
that's how we talk about it. We joke about it off and on.
Hmm.
Like
I
if
got
we in the store the other day, matter of fact, it was in Walmart,
you.
and
Hmm.
he was walking around like, have anybody seen my side chick?
Well, at least you can laugh about it, though, right?
Yeah, we just joking, and the lady next to me is side me, and I'm like, no. But I mean, we just have fun with it. Why not?
Right. Don't be ashamed about what happened. That's what I always encourage people. It is what it is.
Yeah, especially if you can have fun with it. Why not?
Right. And so, what has your journey taught you about love, commitment, and the complexities of relationships? And how do you think these lessons have shaped the person that you are today? So, I'll give you a little example. Like, I don't know if we talked about this off camera, but like, does it, people they would say, well, the same way you got him is the same way you're gonna lose him. Does it make
Mhm.
you feel insecure? Does he have to make you feel more secure in in this marriage because of what happened before?
I'm I'm pretty secure.
Okay, that's good.
Um, I trust him
Mhm.
wholeheartedly. He's proven time and time I can. He's a good man that in this situation was in a bad situation.
Mhm.
Um, but it did teach me what real love is
Okay.
because again, um, the only person I had been with as a teenager was like my kid's father, and he passed away. So that we
Okay.
never really could love the way we wanted to. So I just was like just dating and whatnot throughout time. But it showed me that love really does exist. And there really is men that will love you with kids, without kids, with all your battles, wounds, and scars, and Lord knows I came with a suitcase of stuff. I
Yeah.
had that, but He loved me through it. So it let me know that love and commitment is real. And when
Yeah.
someone is committed to really being building a family and a foundation with you, because they feel like you're the one, then
Mhm.
it can happen.
Mhm. Okay. And so, how has your character positively developed? Like, what are some, like, maybe if you was not patient then, or you see more patience now, or how has your character changed?
So I think my character, I always been a fun, outgoing person. But I think character wise, it just helped me really understand me more, what I want in life. It helped me trust myself because when everyone was telling me to leave him alone and this, that, and the third, I trusted myself to go with my heart.
Mhm.
And I'm glad I did versus later on regretting, living in regret. So I would say my character just grew
Okay.
and just blossomed more. I got
Okay.
to really see a different side of me.
Okay. Okay. That's and so our last question that's right here on the board is do you how do you feel that sharing your story could help others in, like, do you actually feel it? This is gonna help somebody else who's in a situation like this, or who in a situation that I was, and then what message do you hope people take away from hearing about your experience?
Um, I do think that I'm sharing my story could help somebody in some similar situations.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I feel like if you're with someone that's just going through a difficult situation, I say take your time,
Mhm.
with them. So I do think my story can help other people from beginning to the middle to the end. The message that I want people to take away from my experience is whether you feel like they're the right ones or not, just wait. Because if it's real love and y'all really are soulmates,
Yeah.
then you're gonna be meant to be together
Mhm.
when the time is right for it to happen. Don't rush the process.
Right. Don't
Don't rush
rush.
to be with him before he finished his process,
Right. Right.
or vice versa.
Mhm. Well, that was you really opened up. I appreciate that, I really do, because you shed some light on some things I have not even thought about before. And especially with the rejection from your family. Um, that was big, and then friends, you know. Do you have many friends now? You said you don't have.
I don't. I do business, but I really am a homebody. If I
Okay.
like to go to karaoke every now and then,
Mhm.
but I really like to be at home.
I know.
I
I
like
feel
to be
you.
home.
I understand. Is there anything else you would like to add before we leave from here?
Yes. Also, there's another thing that I want to add. In a lot of situations, don't always take the man's side of story when they give you. Not saying that he was lying about anything, but I think that sometimes you need to sit down with both sides.
Yeah.
It was just what he said. And of course, her story was completely different.
Mm.
I would say just evaluate the situation from head to toe. Like, start from the top and the bottom and figure out if this is where you really, really ought to be at this time, this situation.
Okay, but if we got a little bit more time, what was her story? We didn't like if you could just round it up in a little paragraph.
I didn't talk to her. She mostly was yelling, but
Okay.
in the midst of her trying to fight me, she had said something like, she just felt like as a mother, he just wasn't appreciating that she was tired all the time. Like she was young, so she felt like as a mom, like she should be able to go out, like, and they met, I think they was like 18, 19, and they married at 20 and had their first child. So she was trying to get some of that, livelihood back, but she didn't realize the cost of being a parent. So she was like, he wasn't understanding. He wasn't emotionally available, type of thing. He brought military lifestyle home and all this.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got it. No, both sides.
About the cheating, though. I'm sorry, I did ask about the cheating. I did want to say that I did ask her about that.
Okay.
I wanted to know if he was a cheater. That's definitely a deal breaker for me, because you can't be cheating on me while you talking to me. We can't be doing multiple partners. But she said was she had a friend. They never did nothing, but he was a male friend that Kendrick came in. My husband came home and stuck him in the house, but he was a friend. Nothing never happened. He was a co-worker.
Okay.
And then it was in business.
No, she said it was. Yeah, I mean, I get that. You asked her. She said it's not your business. Okay, look, that's a whole nother.
But
stay around 1 second after we get off. I just want to talk to you shortly. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We really want to appreciate Miss Kristen for sharing her testimony, because she didn't have to. I had to hunt her down a little bit, but I'm so glad she came through and did it. Make sure y'all tune in next week for Conversations with Grace. In the week after, we're coming with another awesome episode of The Other Woman. Until next time.